Hey coin collectors and treasure hunters, ever found a 1949 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny and tossed it aside thinking it's just pocket change? Well, what if I told you one of these humble cents has been valued at up to $895,000? Flush-faced, that's right. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most surprising and misunderstood coins in American history. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and let's uncover if that penny in your jar is worth a fortune. The 1949 Lincoln cent is part of the iconic Wheat Penny series, minted from 1909 to 1958. Designed by Victor D. Brenner, it features Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and two wheat stalks on the reverse. In 1949, these coins were minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, D, and San Francisco, S. The Philadelphia Mint, which produced over 217 million of them, didn't use a mint mark, which is why your 1949 penny might look so plain. So how can something that was mass-produced be worth nearly $1 million today? Great question, and the answer lies in a mix of rarity, condition, errors, and demand. Most 1949 no-mint mark pennies are worth between 3 to 20 cents in circulated condition. But a few are absolute hidden gems. Here's what to look for. A pristine 1949 penny graded MS67 read by PCGS or NGC can fetch thousands. Why? Because finding a coin over 70 years old with perfect surfaces and color is incredibly rare. Errors from the mint can turn a common coin into a treasure. Look for double die obverse, DDO, off-center strikes, lamination errors, BI error, a die break in Liberty. One major error coin from 1949 recently sold for over $80,000, and rare high-grade double die examples have been estimated in the hundreds of thousands range. Some high-value coins gain premium prices simply due to their auction history and collector interest. A record-setting penny once sold for $895,000, though this was a perfect storm of condition, rarity, and demand. Let's break down some recent sales and market values for the 1949 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. The $895,000 example is not your average coin. It's likely a unique error or top-graded specimen with immense historical and collector value. Think you have a winner? Here's how to check. Check the date. Make sure it's a 1949 with no mint mark. Inspect for errors, doubling, cracks, or missing elements. Evaluate condition, color, luster, and scratches. If it looks perfect or suspiciously odd, submit for grading. In 2021, a 1949 no-mint mark penny graded MS67 red sold for over $7,000 at auction. In 2023, a double die error from the same year fetched over $80,000 on eBay after viral media coverage. And that $895,000 penny? Rumored to be an extremely rare strike-through mint error in MS condition, authenticated by a top grading service and featured in major numismatic publications. So, could your old 1949 penny be worth 6 figures? Maybe, if the stars align. But even if not, these coins are a fascinating part of American history and a great place to start your collecting journey. Condition, rarity, and errors are everything in coin collecting. If you learned something new today or have a cool coin story to share, drop it in the comments. Left speech bubble. Got a 1949 penny you want me to evaluate? Post a photo below or tag me on Instagram at your channel name. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with your fellow treasure hunters. 1952 S mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. This humble little penny might just be sitting unnoticed in your change jar or tucked away in an old drawer, and what you might not realize is that it could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even over $1 million under the right conditions. Yeah, you heard that right, $1 million penny. So let's explore what makes this coin so fascinating and how much it's really worth in today's market. Let's go back for a second to the year 1952. Harry S. Truman was president. The Korean War was still ongoing. Gas was about 20 cents a gallon, and the average American family earned just under $4,000 a year. Amid all that, the United States Mint in San Francisco was busy striking pennies bearing the iconic image of President Abraham Lincoln on the front and the wheat stalks on the reverse. This was the final decade for the wheat reverse design, which ended in 1958. Now here's the interesting part. In 1952, over 137 million Lincoln cents were struck at the San Francisco Mint. That's a lot. So at first glance, you'd think these coins are super common, right? And you'd be mostly right. In circulated condition, where the coin has been used for daily transactions and shows some wear and tear, most 1952's Lincoln pennies are worth about 5 to 15 cents. Yeah, not that impressive. But hold on. That's only the beginning of the story. The real value of a 1952's penny comes into play when we're talking about condition. If you have one that's in uncirculated condition, meaning it looks like it just came off the press yesterday, the value goes way up. In mint state, these coins can range from $20 all the way up to hundreds of dollars, depending on the grade. And when I say grade, I mean how sharp the details are, how much luster is left, and whether there are any noticeable scratches or blemishes. A coin graded MS65 or higher, which means mint state and basically near perfect, can sell for serious cash. Some of these have gone for over $1,000 at auction. But the Holy Grail? The reason collectors go crazy over coins like this? It's all about errors and varieties. Let's talk about the million-dollar potential. You might be thinking, how can a penny from 1952 ever be worth that much? And the answer is this: minting errors. That's where things get wild. There are extremely rare cases of double dies, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, or coins struck on the wrong planchet, like a penny struck on a dime or nickel blank. These are freaks of the minting process, and collectors will pay huge money for them. If a 1952's Lincoln penny has a strong, dramatic double die, for example, if the date, or the word, Liberty, appears doubled to the naked eye, that can drive the price way up. We're talking thousands of dollars or more depending on the visibility of the error and the coin's overall condition. If you had a 1952's penny with a bold error in near-perfect condition, certified by a trusted grading company like PCGS or NGC, it could theoretically fetch tens of thousands, or even six figures at auction. And if that error is previously undocumented and one of a kind, that's when we get into the million-dollar territory. That's when collectors and big auction houses get involved and the bidding wars begin. And here's where it gets even more exciting. Coin values aren't just about rarity. They're also about demand. And the demand for vintage US coins, especially Lincoln wheat pennies, has been climbing. As more people get into coin collecting, especially with the influence of TikTok and YouTube, the market is heating up. Combine that with rising inflation and investors turning to physical assets, and you have the perfect storm. These little coins are now being viewed as both historical artifacts and long-term investments. So how do you know if your 1952's Lincoln penny is valuable? First, check the condition. If it's shiny, with no major scratches, and the lines on Lincoln's coat are crisp, you might have something worth grading. Second, check for errors. Look very closely at the date, the mint mark, and the letters around the edges. If you see any doubling, off-center design, or weird-looking mint marks, it's worth sending to a professional for evaluation. And third, consider getting your coin professionally graded. PCGS or NGC can certify its authenticity and assign it a grade, which helps set a clear market value and makes it easier to sell. Now, just to put things in perspective, a 1952's Lincoln penny graded MS67 read by PCGS, one of the highest known grades, has sold for over $12,000 at auction. And again, if you have a unique error or a previously unknown variety, you could be looking at six figures or even more. So before you toss that old change or ignore that jar of pennies in the attic, take a second look. You never know, one of them could be a hidden treasure. And that wraps up our deep dive into the 1952 South Abraham Lincoln 1-center penny. If you found this video helpful or you're now inspired to go dig through your old coins, give this video a like and drop a comment below telling us what your oldest penny is. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos on coin values, hidden collectibles, and how to make money from what's already in your pocket. 1960 D Lincoln penny. Yes, that simple little 1-cent coin featuring the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln. What if I told you some of these coins could be worth hundreds, thousands, and in some extremely rare cases, even approach the $1 million mark in market value? Stick around because what you're about to hear could change the way you look at pocket change forever. Let's start with the basics. The Lincoln penny has been a staple of American currency since 1909. It was introduced to celebrate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, and it became the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real person. The design was the work of Victor David Brenner, and although it's changed slightly over the years, the classic portrait of Lincoln has remained. Now, let's fast forward to 1960. This year was special for a few reasons. First, the U.S. Mint in Denver produced a massive number of pennies, over 1.5 billion coins. But it wasn't just about quantity. There were two different varieties of the 1960 penny that year. One had a small date, and the other had a large date. Both were minted in Philadelphia and Denver, but the 1960 small date penny is the one collectors are obsessed with. Let's break that down. The small date version features thinner, more delicate numerals, particularly the 0. The large date version has bolder, chunkier numbers. These differences are subtle, but collectors know exactly what to look for, and so should you. If you're holding a 1960 small date penny, especially in high-grade condition, you might be holding something incredibly valuable. Now here's where it gets interesting. Most of the 1960 pennies were made with the large date. So the small date Denver version is considered the rare one. Fewer of them were made, and fewer still exist today in pristine condition. That's what makes it so desirable. Some collectors have paid over $5,000 for one of these coins in uncirculated condition. But that's not even the craziest part. In the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded 60 or higher is considered mint state. The higher the number, the more perfect the coin. Now imagine a 1960 small date Lincoln penny graded MS 67 or higher. These are nearly flawless examples, and they are extremely rare. Auction houses have seen bidding wars over top-grade 1960 small date pennies. One record-breaking sale reached well over $20,000. And in some private sales, rare varieties with doubled dies or mint errors have sold for even more. Some collectors and dealers believe that the rarest of these coins, in the right condition, could one day fetch prices approaching $1 million, especially if more collectors flood into the market and drive up demand. Think about that for a second. A 1-cent coin potentially worth $1 million. That's the magic of numismatics, the world of coin collecting. Now let's talk about what you should look for. First, check the date. You're looking for a 1960 with the small date variety. Look closely at the numbers. The small date will have a thinner appearance, especially the 6 and the 0. You can compare it to other 1960 pennies. You might have to see the difference. Second, check the condition. If the coin looks shiny, smooth, and has no signs of wear, it could be a high-grade example. Those are the ones that bring in the big bucks. Third, look for errors. Some 1960 pennies have been found with doubled die features. That means the image or letters were stamped twice by mistake. These errors are extremely collectible. If you think you found one, don't rush to sell it. Have it professionally graded. Reputable services like PCGS or NGC can grade your coin and verify its authenticity. A certified grade can make a massive difference in value, turning a $10 coin into a $10,000 one. Now let's talk about the coin market as a whole. The value of rare coins has been climbing steadily for years. With more collectors entering the market, and with the US dollar facing inflation, people are looking for physical assets to invest in, and rare coins are becoming one of the most popular choices. Historical significance, rarity, and beauty all add to the appeal. So a coin like the 1960 small date penny isn't just a collector's item, it's an investment. To put this in perspective, a penny that cost 1 cent in 1960, when adjusted for inflation, would be worth about 10 cents today. But its real market value, if it's the rare variety in top condition, could be worth the same as a brand new luxury car. Or even a house, and who knows? With the right buyer and the right auction, We might see one of these coins go for $500,000, or even a full $1 million in the future. Stranger things have happened in the collectibles world. So the next time you come across an old penny, don't just toss it into the coin jar. Flip it over. Check the date. Look for that small D mint mark under the year. Pay close attention to the style of the numbers. You might just have a tiny treasure in your hand. Before you go, make sure to hit that like button if you found this video helpful. Subscribe to the channel if you want more deep dives into rare coins, precious metals, and hidden gems of American history. And let me know in the comments, have you ever found a rare coin in your change? You never know when a single cent could change your life. 1964 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. A coin that millions of people have in their possession right now. But what if I told you that your ordinary-looking penny might actually be worth thousands of dollars or even more depending on a few key details? The 1964 Lincoln penny is one of the most commonly found pennies in the United States. Over 6 billion were minted. Yes, you heard that right. Over 6 billion with a B. The majority were struck in Philadelphia, which is why there's no mint mark. But just because it's common doesn't mean it can't be valuable. Let's break it down. What makes a 1964 Lincoln penny valuable? The answer comes down to 4 things: condition, errors, material, and demand. Let's talk about condition first. If your 1964 penny looks like it just left the mint yesterday, then you're holding something special. Coins graded MS65 and above, which stands for Mint State 65 by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC, can sell for anywhere from $15 to $500 depending on eye appeal and toning. Some red color coins, which means they haven't turned brown from oxidation, can fetch even higher prices. A perfect MS67 red 1964 no mint mark penny has sold for more than $7,000 at auction. Now let's talk about the real jackpots. The errors. This is where things get really interesting. Some 1964 pennies have striking errors that make them highly collectible. We're talking about double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, and clipped planchets. One double die obverse penny where you can see a clear doubling in the date, or the letters in Liberty, and in God We Trust, sold for over $10,000. Off-center errors, if severe enough and well-preserved, can sell from a few hundred up to a couple thousand. Here's another key factor that many people overlook. Some 1964 pennies were accidentally struck on the wrong metal planchet. For example, a rare few have been found struck on silver dime planchets. These are extremely rare and, if authenticated, can sell for tens of thousands of dollars. One such coin sold for nearly $50,000 at auction. So let's say you have a 1964 no mint mark Lincoln penny. What should you do? First, don't clean it. Ever. Cleaning a coin destroys its numismatic value. Second, check for obvious errors. Is the coin off-center? Do the letters look doubled? Do you notice anything unusual about the edges or the color? If so, you may have a rare variety. Third, consider getting it graded by a reputable grading service. That small investment could reveal that your coin is worth way more than 1 cent. Now here's the million-dollar question. Can a 1964 penny be worth $1 million? Technically, no single sale has ever hit the $1 million mark for a 1964 penny. But rare coins have crossed that threshold before. And if a new rare variety is discovered, or if a perfect MS70 red coin appears on the market for the first time, anything is possible. The coin market thrives on rarity and discovery. So don't throw that change jar away just yet. Let's put it in perspective. A regular 1964 penny in circulated condition is worth about 1 to 3 cents to most dealers. But a red gem uncirculated example could get you anywhere from $15,000 to $7,000. Add an error and you might be looking at 5 figures or more. And if you hit the rare planchet lottery, that number skyrockets. Coin collecting is all about patience, knowledge, and luck. That old penny in your drawer or piggy bank could be a sleeper coin waiting to surprise you. Millions of people are holding on to these coins and most have no idea what they really have. So before you spend that penny, take a closer look. Use a magnifying glass. Study the details. Compare with photos online. Visit a local coin shop. You never know when you might be holding a hidden gem worth thousands, maybe even close to $1 million in the future if the right buyer comes along. 1964 Lincoln cent. A coin that millions of Americans have held in their hands, a coin that might still be sitting in your pocket, in a drawer, or buried in an old coin jar somewhere in your home. Now, what if I told you that this humble 1-cent coin, the 1964 Lincoln penny, could actually be worth thousands of dollars? In some cases, it could even be worth up to $1 million. That's right. A single penny, minted over 60 years ago, could make you a fortune. But before you rush off to check your change, let's talk about why. Let's start with some background. The 1964 penny features the iconic image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. It was minted in Denver, which is what the D mint mark below the year signifies. It was struck in a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. Over 3 billion of these pennies were minted in 1964, making it one of the most heavily produced Lincoln cents in history. That means most of these coins are extremely common, and in circulated condition, they're worth just 1 cent, or maybe a few pennies more. But the key word here is most. Not all of them. There are rare varieties and exceptional era coins from this year that are turning heads in the numismatic community. These rare finds have sold at auctions for jaw-dropping amounts, in some cases fetching prices that reach into the 5, 6, and even 7-figure range. So what makes a 1964 penny valuable? The biggest factors are rarity, condition, and minting errors. Let's talk about condition first. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin that has never been touched by human hands. If you happen to have a 1964 penny in mint state condition, especially graded MS66 or higher by professional services like PCGS or NGC, you're already looking at a coin worth much more than face value. We're talking anywhere from $50 to several $100s, sometimes more depending on demand. Now, let's go deeper. The most valuable 1964 pennies are those that contain significant mint errors. These can include double die obverse, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, broad strikes, and die cracks. One of the most sought-after errors is the double die. This means that during the minting process, the die that strikes the coin had a misalignment, causing the letters or numbers on the coin to appear doubled. If you come across a 1964 penny with a doubled die, especially one that's in high-grade condition, you could be looking at a coin worth several $1,000s or more. But here's where things get really exciting. There are reports of ultra-rare transitional errors and unconfirmed varieties that could place the value of a 1964 penny well into the $1 million range. These are coins that were struck using the wrong metal planchet or coins that show extreme double die effects. Some of these are one of a kind. These types of coins can cause a bidding war at auctions among high-end collectors. Let me give you an example. At a major coin auction, a rare era Lincoln cent from the early 60s sold for over $1 million. While it wasn't a 1964 exactly, it opened the eyes of collectors and experts to the potential value of coins from this era. There is strong speculation that a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and error could lead to the discovery of a 1964 penny worth similar amounts. Now you may be asking, how do I check if my penny is valuable? Start with a close visual inspection. Look for anything unusual. Is the date doubled? Are the letters on Liberty or In God We Trust blurry or misaligned? Check the mint mark. Is it repunched? Is the coin misaligned or struck off-center? Any of these signs could point to a rare and valuable error. If you suspect you have a special coin, the next step is to get it authenticated and graded. Send it to a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. The cost of grading is well worth it if your coin turns out to be one of the rare ones. Even an MS66 or MS67 grade without an error can fetch hundreds of dollars or more depending on the market. And that brings us to current market trends. The value of collectible coins, especially rare Lincoln cents, has been climbing steadily over the last few years. With more people turning to collectibles as alternative investments, coins like the 1964 penny are gaining serious attention. High-grade examples are setting record prices at auctions, and rare varieties are being scooped up by collectors and investors alike. So what's the bottom line? If you have a 1964 Lincoln penny, don't dismiss it. Check it carefully. Examine it under good lighting. Look for doubling, off-center strikes, unusual coloration, or anything that looks out of the ordinary. And if it's in pristine condition, even better, because that one penny, that tiny little coin that cost you nothing, could be worth hundreds, thousands, or in the rarest of cases, millions of dollars. Coins are time capsules. They carry history, mystery, and for the lucky few, a fortune. So keep looking. Keep collecting. And who knows? The next $1 million penny could be right there in your pocket. 1965 no mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny. Yes, that's right, a single penny with no mint mark dated 1965 that some people are claiming could be worth thousands, even over $1 million in rare cases. But is that true? What's the real value? How do you know if you've got a rare version? And why are so many people searching their piggy banks and old jars for this little copper coin? We're going to answer all of that right now. So stay tuned. Let's start with a little background. The 1965 Lincoln penny is part of the famous Lincoln Cent series, which began in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin featured Lincoln on the front or obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the back or reverse from 1959 to 2008. Now here's the thing about the 1965 penny specifically: there's no mint mark on it, and that might surprise some people, especially if you're new to coin collecting. In fact, in 1965 the U.S. Mint was going through a coin shortage due to the nationwide silver crisis, which impacted dimes, quarters, and half dollars. To keep up with production and reduce coin hoarding, the Mint temporarily removed mint marks from coins from 1965 to 1967. So if your 1965 Lincoln penny has no mint mark, don't worry, that's normal. It was minted in Philadelphia, where coins traditionally did not have a mint mark anyway, and the removal of mint marks in that period was across the board, even for Denver and San Francisco coins. So what makes a 1965 penny special then? Well, it all comes down to condition, rarity, and possible errors. Let's break that down. Most 1965 pennies were made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, and over 1 billion were produced, so in average circulated condition they're only worth 1 cent, maybe a few cents if they're in nice shape. But here's where it gets interesting: if your 1965 penny is in uncirculated or mint state condition, that means no scratches, full details, and clean surfaces, the value can jump significantly. Coins graded MS65 or higher by grading companies like PCGS or NGC can sell for $10 to $50 and even a few hundred depending on the market. Now, if your penny has an error like a double die off-center strike or a clipped planchet, that's where serious value comes in. One known example is a double die obverse, where the lettering on the front appears slightly doubled under magnification. That can push the value into the hundreds, or even thousands of dollars depending on severity and grade. But here's the big question: why do some people say a 1965 penny is worth $1 million? The answer comes from a mix of hype, misunderstanding, and some rare auction results. In most legitimate cases, number 1965 Lincoln penny has sold for $1 million in a public auction, but there are listings online asking for outrageous amounts, and those are often not realistic. That said, there have been rare mint era coins and high-grade examples that have sold for over $10,000. For example, a 1965 penny graded MS67 red by PCGS sold for nearly $12,000 a few years ago. That's not $1 million, but it's still a life-changing amount for a coin that could have been sitting in a drawer. So if you're wondering if your 1965 penny is valuable, here's what to look for. 1. Check the condition. If it looks shiny with no wear, get it examined. 2. Look for any visible doubling of letters or numbers, especially on Liberty and IN God We Trust. 3. Check for off-center strikes or unusual shapes that may indicate an error. And 4. Consider sending your coin to a professional grading service. They can verify authenticity and assign a grade which dramatically impacts value. So to wrap this up, the average 1965 no mint mark Lincoln penny is not worth a fortune. It's very common, and in circulated condition it's worth just a cent. However, in top mint state condition or with a rare mint error, it can be worth hundreds to even thousands of dollars. And while it's extremely unlikely to find $1 million example some people have sold, there's for 5 figures, so it's definitely worth checking your stash before you go. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into coins that could be sitting in your pocket right now. Drop a comment if you've found an interesting penny, and we might feature your story in our next episode. 1966 Lincoln 1-cent penny, the coin with no mint mark. Now you might be wondering what makes a simple penny from 1966 so special, why are collectors across the world paying attention to it, and how can a coin that says 1 cent possibly be worth hundreds, thousands, or even in rare cases over $1 million? That's exactly what we are going to explore in this video, so sit back, grab a drink, and let's talk all about the 1966 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, its story, its design, its errors, and its unbelievable market value in today's collector world. Let's start with the basics. The 1966 Lincoln penny was minted during a time of great change in the U.S. coinage system following the coin shortage of the early 1960s and the removal of silver from dimes and quarters in 1965. The U.S. Mint temporarily stopped putting mint marks on coins from 1965 to 1967. This was done to discourage coin hoarding and to help stabilize the economy during a transitional period. So when you look at a 1966 penny and you do not see a mint mark under the year, that's not a mistake, it's not an error, it's completely intentional. Every Lincoln cent from 1966, whether minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, does not carry a mint mark. Now here's the twist: even though they all look the same, not all 1966 pennies are created equal. In fact, the coin's condition, errors, and certain hidden varieties can mean the difference between pocket change and a huge payday. So how do you tell if your 1966 penny is worth just 1 cent? Or something far more valuable? Let's talk mintage first. In 1966, over 2.2 billion Lincoln pennies were produced. That's billion with a B. So yes, the coin is common in average circulated condition, but in the world of coin collecting, rarity isn't always about how many were made, it's about how many survived in top grade condition with errors, varieties, or special features. This is where things get interesting. The real money comes from high grade examples and rare errors. Let's talk about the grades for a moment. When it comes to grading coins, collectors use the Sheldon scale, which ranges from poor to mint state. A perfect coin is graded MS 70, meaning mint state 70, with absolutely no flaws. Now, while 1966 pennies are rarely found in MS 70, there are many that grade MS 65 or higher, and those already start fetching premium prices. An MS 65 red 1966 penny can sell anywhere from $15 to $75 depending on the market, but that's just the beginning. If you happen to find a penny in MS 66 or MS 67 red condition, you could be looking at several $100s in value. These are not easy to come by because most of the coins from this era were heavily circulated and show significant wear. A true gem quality 1966 red penny in pristine condition is rare and collectors will pay a premium for it. Now here's where things jump into serious money territory: error coins and varieties. Some of the most valuable 1966 pennies are the ones that have minting errors, and these can be worth thousands or even more. Let's go over some of the most common and valuable errors to look for. First, we have the double die error. This happens when the die that stamps the coin is misaligned and creates a doubling effect, especially visible on the date, the lettering, or Lincoln's profile. A strong double die 1966 penny can be worth hundreds to thousands of dollars depending on its condition and the clarity of the doubling. Then we have off center strikes. These are coins where the design is not properly centered on the coin. Some are slightly off, some are dramatically off, up to 50 or 60% off center, and those extreme ones, especially if they still show a complete date, can be extremely valuable. Another sought after error is the die clash. This occurs when the coin dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving an impression of one die on the other, resulting in ghost-like images on the coin. These errors are rare and intriguing to collectors, and their value can range from a few $100s to several thousand. Now let's not forget about the transitional errors. During the mid-60s, changes were being made in coin composition and minting practices. If you ever come across a 1966 penny that feels off in weight or color, it might be worth getting it authenticated by a grading service like PCGS or NGC, because if it was struck on the wrong planchet or has an unusual alloy mix, it could be worth big money. Speaking of grading services, certified coins, especially those with rare errors or high grades, command significantly higher prices because they offer proof of authenticity and quality. A certified MS 67 red 1966 Lincoln cent recently sold for over $2,000, and that's not even the most expensive known example. Let's talk about the top sales. One of the most legendary examples of a 1966 penny is an ultra high grade MS 67 red that fetched over $4,000 at auction. That's right, a 1 cent coin sold for more than $4,000, and collectors are constantly on the Look out for even better specimens. Now you may be asking, is there really such a thing as $1,000,000 penny? And the answer is yes, but with a huge asterisk. While number 1966 penny has officially sold for $1,000,000, yet some extremely rare Lincoln cents, especially with major mint errors, unique provenance, or extraordinary condition, have crossed six figures in value, and as the market continues to grow, who knows what a perfect uncirculated double die 1966 penny with unique characteristics might fetch in the future. We are seeing modern coins explode in value due to increasing interest from collectors, investors, and enthusiasts, and rare finds from pocket change have been known to make headlines. So what should you do if you think you have a valuable 1966 penny? First, do not clean it. Cleaning coins can significantly decrease their value. Second, examine it closely with a magnifying glass or microscope. Look for doubling, off-center strikes, unusual weight, or odd coloration. If it looks special, compare it to examples listed on auction sites or consult a coin dealer, and if it seems promising, send it to a grading service for authentication and encapsulation. Coin collecting is one of the most rewarding hobbies out there, not only for the thrill of the hunt, but for the potential value hiding in plain sight, and the 1966 no mint mark Lincoln penny is a perfect example of how a common coin can become a valuable treasure with the right features. So whether you're digging through an old jar of coins or checking your pocket change, always keep an eye out for these small copper gems, because you never know when one little penny might just be worth a fortune. 1967 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. It's a coin you might easily overlook in your pocket change or coin jar, but it could potentially be worth a lot more than just 1 cent. Stick around, because we'll go over why this penny was minted without a mint mark, what makes some of these coins incredibly valuable, and how to tell if yours might be worth hundreds, thousands, or even more. Let's get started. First, let's talk about the design of this coin. On the front or obverse, you'll see the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday. The back or reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, which was introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Now here's where things get interesting. The 1967 penny does not have a mint mark. Normally, coins struck in Philadelphia either have no mint mark or a P, but in 1965, 1966, and 1967 the United States Mint temporarily removed all mint marks from coins regardless of where they were minted. This was done to discourage coin collecting during that time when coin shortages were affecting circulation. So if your 1967 penny doesn't have a mint mark, don't worry, it's not an error, it's completely normal. However, not all 1967 pennies are created equal. While over 3 billion were struck that year, most are worth face value in circulated condition, but the value jumps when the coin is in uncirculated condition, especially if it's been professionally graded and certified. So what kind of value are we talking about? Let's break it down. In average circulated condition, a 1967 penny is worth just 1 cent. In brilliant uncirculated condition with a grade of MS65 or higher, you could be looking at a value of anywhere from $10 to $30. That might not sound like a fortune, but remember, that's for just 1 penny. Now, if your coin is a special variety or has an error, things get much more exciting. Some 1967 Lincoln pennies have been found with rare double die errors, where the letters or numbers appear doubled, especially on the words Liberty and In God We Trust. These kinds of errors are rare, and collectors are willing to pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars for them, depending on the severity and clarity of the doubling. In one case, a 1967 double-die penny in near-perfect condition sold for over $5,000 at auction. Another coin with a unique off-center strike and high grade fetched over $7,000. Even more astonishing are reports of top-graded examples fetching 5-figure prices through private collectors and auction houses. And in the rarest and most pristine cases, some 1967 Lincoln pennies with perfect mint luster, deep red color, and full strike details have been valued at well over $15,000. Now, does that mean your 1967 penny is worth $1 million? Not quite. There's no verified public sale of a 1967 penny reaching $1 million price tag, but when you combine rarity, condition, errors, and collector demand, it's not impossible that in the future one particularly rare and perfect example could command an extremely high price, especially if it's the finest known of its kind. Coin collectors and investors are always on the lookout for the top population pieces, the best preserved and rarest of the rare. If such a coin appears in a public auction, it's not outside the realm of possibility to see the value climb towards 6 figures or more. So how do you find out If your 1967 penny is valuable, here are a few steps you can take. Step 1. Examine the coin for signs of errors like doubling off center strikes or die cracks. Step 2. Check the condition. Is it shiny, clean, and uncirculated, or worn and dull? Step 3. Consider getting the coin graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC, which can help determine its value on the collector market. Step 4. Research recent auction sales and price guides to compare your coin with others that have sold. And finally, Step 5. Never clean your coin, as it can reduce the value dramatically. So next time you come across a 1967 Lincoln penny, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look. You might be holding a tiny piece of history and maybe even a small fortune. And that wraps up today's video on the 1967 no mint mark Lincoln penny. If you enjoyed learning about this fascinating coin and want to hear more about rare coins that could be hiding in your change, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. 1968 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. Could this humble coin in your pocket be worth thousands, or even $1 million? Stick around because you do not want to miss what we found out. Let's talk about the penny you see every day. Copper-colored, easy to overlook, but in rare cases, it's worth more than its weight in gold. And the 1968 Lincoln cent is no exception. So what makes the 1968 no mint mark penny so interesting? Well, in 1968, the U.S. Mint produced Lincoln pennies in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins minted in Denver have a D mark. San Francisco coins carry an S mark. But Philadelphia coins? They come with no mint mark at all. Now, normally, Philadelphia pennies aren't rare, they made hundreds of millions. But here's the twist: not every 1968 no mint mark penny is the same. Some have errors. Some are struck with extreme precision. And some, a tiny handful, are graded in such flawless condition that collectors will pay a fortune to own them. Let's talk value. If you've got a 1968 penny with no mint mark and it's been circulating, with wear and tear, it's worth about 1 cent. Maybe 2 if it's got nice color. Nothing too exciting. But here's where it gets real. If your 1968 penny is in mint state, especially graded MS-65 or higher, now we're talking serious money. Moneybag and MS-65 1968 no mint mark penny can sell for $25 to $100. That's a nice return for a coin you might find in your change jar. Moneybag MS-66? You're looking at around $200 to $500, depending on the eye appeal, strike quality, and luster. But get this. The highest graded examples, MS-67 red or better, can reach into the thousands of dollars at auction. In fact, a pristine 1968 Philadelphia penny graded MS-67 red by PCGS once sold for over $5,000. Yes, you heard that right, a single penny. $5,000. Now here's the $1 million question. Can it actually be worth $1 million, theoretically? Yes. If a new discovery is made, like a 1968 no mint mark penny with a dramatic mint error, or one in a previously unseen ultra-high grade like MS-68 or MS-69 red, it could break records. Imagine the only one of its kind, perfectly preserved, held in a collector's vault for decades. If that coin hit the auction block, it could spark a bidding war and reach into the hundreds of thousands, possibly more. It's rare, extremely rare, but not impossible. So how do you know if you've got a valuable one? No mint mark under the date. This means Philadelphia. Sharp details in Lincoln's hair and coat. Full rims and a clean strike. Shiny red copper color with no spotting or discoloration. And no signs of circulation. No scratches, no dents, no dullness. And if you think you have something special, send it in for professional grading through companies like PCGS or NGC. A $30 grading fee could turn into a $1,000 payday if your coin is top tier. The 1968 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny might seem ordinary. But in coin collecting, condition is everything. One small detail can be the difference between 1 cent and $100,000. So check your piggy bank. Look through your coin jars. You might just be holding on to a copper treasure. Let us know in the comments. Have you ever found a rare penny in your change? Got a 1968 no mint mark worth grading? We'd love to hear about it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss out on another hidden coin gem.